I'm one of the staunchest followers of Ayurveda possible, and I think the belief has come from my own journey to cure my own disease. I'm suffering from rheumatoid arthritis.
I have a very hard illness. And then Dr. Krumpas, my doctor, brought me here to the Ayurveda. I had water in my feet, thick water, and pains all over.
I've been trying these Ayurvedic treatments for the last 3 years now. Ever since I had an attack of a pancreas infection, actually, about 3 years ago.
Before I came to this institution, I knew a little bit about Ayurveda, basically because I have a skin issue, so it's called psoriasis, similar to eczema.
And recently I had a stroke with weakness to my right hand. The allopathic treatment come to an end where they could not give me any more.
When I had a labrum tear, when everybody said I need to do a surgery, I will be off cricket for 6 to 7 months. I came here and I missed the test series in Australia, and I had to take a decision between a surgery or come back to Ayurvedic.
And when I began, from the first moment on, everything goes to be better. I found my soul, the water out of my feet went out, the pains left me, and so I came back to the normality and I can handle everything very good.
I could move my fingers, I could do my own work. In about 3 treatments, which is about 3 years, I was 95% fit.
She came to us with very severe pain in both knees actually, and now I'm seeing her already 6 months after the end of the active trial treatment, and she's symptom free regarding her knees. So, you know, this is not me or my team, it's Ayurveda that is working, and it's fantastically working.
But then now I'm finding a little bit more belief in it, because it's true, because it's a very organic way of reacting with your body. Like, I mean, people have had the system for years and years put together. They're not fools, right?
So it is not that you expect them to give you things which are about 5,000 years old. They give you things which are 5,000 years old along with the 21st century.
Ayurveda is the science of 21st century. Ayurveda is actually futuristic medicine. Ayurveda is not a medicine of past at all.
In my opinion, everything starts from the mind, in any case, you know. So we cannot ignore it, and I would say 20% of diseases should be treated by modern medicine, and the remaining by Ayurveda and all the 100 other systems that also exist.
The allopathic medicine and these ancient medicine combinedly, I think, can be immense benefit to humanity.
Pashem Sharada Shatam, Jivem Sharada Shatam, Buddhem Sharada Shatam, Rohem Sharada Shatam, Pushem Sharada Shatam, Bhavem Sharada Shatam, Bhuyem Sharada Shatam, Bhuyasi Sharada Shatam. The Rig Veda consists of 3 aspects known as the 3 Sutras of Ayurveda. In the 2nd and the 3rd Vedas, the Sam Veda and Yajur Veda, chanting of mantras and performance of rituals were respectively dealt with. In the 4th Veda, the Atharva Veda, Ayurveda is an Upaveda or subsection.
To understand this, you need to realize that the Vedas actually represent a psychological process of the human mind. The first three Vedas, the Rik, Yajus and the Sama, represent three powers of the human mind. That is the power of knowledge, the power of action and the power of will. So they are together known as the Trayi. Now Atharva Veda is the fourth Veda. It is the Veda of compensation, of rectification, of correction. When the harmony between your knowledge, the action and the will is disturbed, you have to forcefully bring it back into harmony. The fourth Veda or the Atharva Veda therefore represents that, re-establishment of the harmony. In a similar way, from the ritualistic portions of the Atharva Veda, the more empirico-rational, intellectual expression of Ayurveda emerged. This is very specifically mentioned in one of the Ayurvedic texts called Kashyapa Samhita, which says, such a Prag Atharva Veda Upanishatsu Prag Utpanna, that it first originated in the Upanishadic portion of the Atharva Veda.
All Ayurvedic literature is based on the philosophy called Sankhya, meaning to know the truth. The Rishi Kapila discovered 24 principles or elements of the universe. Prakriti, the female energy, creates all forms in the universe, while Purusha, the male energy, is witness to this creation. Purusha, the male energy, represents the dormant consciousness. Prakriti is the female creative energy. In the transcendental state, they are in harmony with each other. Prakriti takes the primary role to manifest as the tanmatras or five senses, the essence of life. The Panchatattvas, the five manifest elements, such as ether, air, fire, water and earth, and the Pancha Mahabhutas, the five subtle elements inherent in the five manifest elements. When creation takes place, the first evolute to manifest is Mahad, the great mind. This Mahad has four components: Ahamkara, the ego; Chitta, the memories; Buddhi, the logic and intellect; Manas, the ability to reflect. This entire spectrum in creation is governed by the Trigunas, which represent the inherent nature of Tamas, Rajas and Sattva. The Trigunas control the behavior of body, mind, emotions, and also the spirit. Central to this healing science is the doctrine of Tridosha, the vital energies of Vata, Pitta and Kapha.
Beautiful aspects of Ayurveda is its Tridosha Siddhanta or the Tridosha principle, based on which everything in Ayurveda works. We say in Ayurveda that a Vaidya should be dosha gadrik. He should see doshas in everything, in human being, in the plants kingdom, in the things which are immovable, everything a Vaidya should start seeing doshas. And Vata, Pitta and Kapha, the three doshas which govern the entire universe according to Ayurveda. And what is this Tridoshas? Tridoshas are nothing but a recombination in biological system by the different elements which we call as Panchamahabhutas. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Mokshanam, Arogyam, Moolamuttamam. Rogas Tasya Abahartara, Shreyaso Jivadasya. This is the ultimate objective of Ayurveda. Ayurveda says that body is important, but body is not the only thing that is important. Body is important because body is the seat for your mind, and mind and body together become a seat for your consciousness.
Around 1500 BC, Ayurveda was delineated into two distinct schools, Atreya, the school of physicians, and Dhanvantari, the school of surgeons. Charaka, who was the court physician of the famous king Kanishka, followed the Atreya school of physicians. Sushruta is celebrated as the father of surgery. In fact, these two schools of thought led to the writing of two major books on Ayurveda, Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita.
Ayurvedo Amrudanam. This is the rhyme from Veda, which means that Ayurveda is nothing but for longevity. And Charaka says Ayurveda has no starting, no ending. It is Anadan and Anadi, which means the knowledge of Ayurveda has been remaining in the universe all the time to come. In that way, the Ayurveda came into literary existence through samhitas like Charaka, Sushruta and Vagpada some 3000 years back. The today's Charaka Samhita, which we consider as our basis of Ayurvedic knowledge, is actually a culmination of knowledge generated by Atreya, Punarvasu, then by Agnivesha and others.
Lord Dhanvantari, the guiding sage of Ayurvedic medicine, is said to be an avatar of Vishnu. There are 4 major Dhanvantari temples in Kerala, of which Nelluvaya in Thrissur district is the largest.
It is believed that this idol installed here is placed here by Aswini Devas. And the Lord Dhanvantari, it is believed that in his one hand he holds leech and another hand the pot of nectar. So it is a symbol of surgery. And it is Kodambu, that is the pot of nectar, that is a symbol of medicine. Every Dhanvantari temple there will be some doctors. These are medical students, when they complete their courses, they will come here and take bhajan here for 1 week, 21 days, etc. And you know that some offerings in this here. One offering is Mukdi Nivedyam. It is medicine. We call decoctionated kashayam that you have to take for all stomach disorders.
What is unique about India is that India has one of the richest biodiversities, also an equally rich knowledge of how to use this biodiversity for preserving and promoting human health. This combination is what makes India very unique. And here we find the medical knowledge, actually we can find it in all stages of evolution, right from tribal medicine to folklore medicine to village medicine to the more learned or sophisticated codified traditions, what we call as classical Ayurveda. This is very interesting because the ancient propounders of Ayurveda were very humble, and they said that we have to learn from nature. You know, the first lessons in healthcare are learnt by observing animals. You can find the Atharva Veda saying that the medicines that the mongoose knows, the medicines that the eagle knows, let that come to me for help. So from observing animal life to, you know, tribal situations, how tribal healers, you know, how they discover medicine, everything was accounted. What the classical stream did was to continuously refine, modify and validate these healthcare practices. And there, what was validated became the classical stream. and what remained in the people became the folk stream.
Between the 13th and the 17th centuries, a fertile intellectual milieu developed around temples in Kerala. The Ashtavedya culture evolved in this environment, blending the Ayurveda of Ashtanga Hridayam with the knowledge and practices of local healers. According to tradition, initially 18 upper caste families of Kerala were designated as Ashtavedyas, who are masters of the 8 branches of Ayurveda mentioned in classical texts.
In the state of Kerala, Ayurveda was existing in a very specialized way. There were specialist pediatricians, specialist surgeons, and then we had also the Vishavaidyas who were specialized in snake poison healing. So this person was bitten by a snake. Even today in modern toxicology, it's quite a challenge to decide what type of snake has bitten. Even if it's a poisonous snake, the real challenge is to find out whether envenomation has happened. They have a linctus, which is actually a kind of paste made of various herbs, and they apply it on a betel leaf and ask the patient to chew it. Like if it is sweet taste, then they say that it is great. If it is cobra, the patient will feel a pungent taste. And if it is viper, the patient will feel a sour taste.
Earlier medicine was an art, and an art means that, and science was a very important tool of this art, right? And since we are following science, we make it very mechanized and rules and controllable. How can you control art? An artist has his own creativity and this and that, So in science we deal with diseases, which is deadly. In art we deal with life, which is healthy.
In Ayurveda, the concept of diagnosis implies a moment-to-moment monitoring of the interactions between order or health and disorder or disease in the body.
Darshana, Sparshana, Prasnai. That Sparshana, Darshana means looking at a patient with the eye of Ayurveda, not merely looking at. And Sparshanam is touching the body and understand the texture, tonicity, all those things is Sparshanam. Prashanam is interpreting that understanding by asking questions which is leading to that person so that we can get explanation of each of these conditions.
Despite lack of support during the British rule, many colleges teaching Ayurveda were established in India. One of those early colleges was the Ayurveda College in Banaras Hindu University, established by Madan Mohan Malviya in 1927 in Varanasi, which was also the birthplace of Sushruta, the father of surgery. His treatise, the Sushruta Samhita, discussed in minute detail how to perform prosthetic surgery to replace limbs and cosmetic surgery on the nose and other parts of the body.
Practice of surgery during Sushruta's period was at its peak. In rhinoplasty, the same technique even today is used as a forehead flap for reconstruction of damaged nose. The skin flap is taken from the forehead. The forehead flap is marked, which is in black. This skin flap is rotated over the nose and the reconstruction is done to create a new nose in case of a damaged nose.
Sushruta details about 125 surgical instruments used by him, mostly made of stone, wood and other such natural materials. The two kinds of instruments, namely the blunt or yantra and the sharp ones or shastra.
Ever since the inception of this institution, and what we are trying to establish is that Ayurveda has a viable model of mental health. Sankhyas believe that people cannot apprehend the true nature of the things. So for example, to say in the most simplistic way, if I see a person, I see my version of the person. The concept of mind, the concept of behavior, and concept of personality, concept of emotions. These are all based on tridoshas. Tridosha is the fundamental biological units of body and mind. If you want to treat this, you have to use pharmacological agents to counter this imbalance in the tridoshas.
And I worked with patients of Parkinson's disease. It was an experience with a very steep learning curve, because I interacted with neurologists, with basic neuroscientists, as also with Vaidyas, and I used an intervention of Panchakarma called Basti, and it was very interesting to find that aspects that are not addressed by modern medicine in patients of Parkinson's disease are helped and benefited by Ayurvedic interventions. For example, non-motor symptoms of sleep dysfunction, of constipation, of smell, of speech, of anxiety. It initiated yet another step of how are we really going to marry these two systems for the benefit of the patient in diverse disease conditions.
All these diseases are originated because the body is imbalanced. The Ayurveda says how it can correct the body's imbalances by two methods. One is the pacification method, Shamana Chikitsa. Second one is the purification method. The purificatory method is Shodhana Chikitsa, the famous Panchakarma, which we do in almost all good authentic Ayurvedic hospitals.
In Ayurvedic medicine, the practice of Panchakarma is a therapeutic way of eliminating toxic elements from the body. During the massage with warm handmade herbal oils, the body is detoxified through the skin. In Ayurveda, this oil treatment is called Snehana. The use of Svedana will result in the patient breaking out in a sweat. The rhythm of the treatment, as well as the application of oils and medicinal ghees, is especially adjusted to the constitution of each individual. A successful Panchakarma treatment helps eliminate the accumulated toxins in the body, and yoga brings man to the natural state of tranquility, which is equilibrium.
Ayurveda complements yoga and yoga complements Ayurveda. Ayurveda gives more importance to physical purification and the seat of mind, whereas yoga directly interacts with the mind and its action in the body. We say in yoga, chale vade chalam chittam nischale nischalam bhavet. If the mind is in tranquility, the vada principle in the body will be also in balance.
Ayurveda and yoga are sister sciences. The father of yoga, Patanjali, described the 8 limbs of yoga and yogic practices. These are the natural regulation of the nervous system, discipline, cleansing, postures, concentration, contemplation, the awakening of awareness, and the state of perfect equilibrium. Ayurveda indicates which type of yoga is suitable for each person according to his particular constitution.
Most of the modern illnesses, because modern medicine has eliminated many of the infectious diseases, the overall living conditions have improved, but these diseases, what we call as the lifestyle disorders, are really going to be the problem of the future. in the long run, diabetes creates a lot of complications. I mean, when you look at diabetes, it's not just the high blood sugar that you have to control by popping a pill. I mean, diabetes is the precursor for so many serious conditions like diabetes retinopathy, cardiovascular disease, kidney damage, nerve damage, as they call as diabetic neuropathy. And one of the strong areas of Ayurveda is, interventions that can prevent diabetes from going into these complications.
All of a sudden we wake up in the morning and we discover that something is wrong. We go to doctor and we notice that after checking blood, our blood sugar is high and we are labeled as diabetes. But this doesn't happen overnight. It is a sequential process. Modern science or modern medicine, we have no clue how it happens in a sequential manner. Ayurveda tells us that there are 6 stages called Shat Kriya Kal. These 6 stages tell us that how disease progresses from first stage to next stage to next stage to finally getting expressed as a disease like in diabetes.
First, the imbalance happens, say, in one dosha. Okay, then this dosha will accumulate. That's stage 1. After that, it sort of gets into a state of agitation. That's stage 2. Stage 3 is that it spreads into the body. Stage 4, it goes into a vulnerable area. Up to this point, Ayurveda can actually reverse everything. Because stage 5 is the manifestation of disease, stage 6 is the manifestation of complications. So an Ayurvedic physician, when he is looking at you, he is actually being able to recognize you at each stage, so that the disease can actually be reversed, the cause can actually be taken away.
Shuklastavaste janmado visheneva vishakrimehi taishcha tisra prakritiyo hinamathyotama pradak. This is what Vagbada says about Prakriti. And this Prakriti is actually the most modern concept of modern science. This talks about this genotypes, phenotypes, etc. And even today there are talks about medicine dosage form suiting to the personality type. They say that pharmacogenomics nothing but pharmacy or medicine which suits the particular genotypic or phenotypic person.
Pharmacogenomics actually understands that different people have different genetic makeup and therefore they will need different kinds of treatments. Now, but modern medicine and modern science have no clue how to stratify or how to classify people into different categories so that a different set of people can get different medicines.
Everything in medicine is expensive, including the doctor who you see, the consultation, and the doctor then puts himself in a very fancy clinic and a fancy hospital, which is also expensive, so he has to take care of those expenses. Then the machines are expensive, the medicines are horribly expensive. All the multinationals that are putting drugs in, actually the actual cost of medicine is very small, but the duties and everything, that they bring it up to a large level because they have to take care of their research costs,
Contemporary Ayurveda consists of proprietary Ayurvedic formulations that are validated by modern science. In early 30s, there was no medicine that brought down blood pressure. There was no antihypertensive medicine. The only way to bring down blood pressure was to drain blood. So the first antihypertensive product given to the world was given by the founder of Himalaya Drug Company. It was made from the root of a plant called Rauwolfia serpentina. Subsequently, SIBA extracted the active principle or the chemical that was responsible for bringing down blood pressure, and that chemical was called rezapine.
Modern medicine is based on 3 things. Either we use poison to poison the bacteria or the cells, or we use surgery to cut out things, or we use radiation to radiate the tissue, right? Now, they are effective most of the time, but they are very invasive and they are very expensive. So that is the good and bad of modern medicine. If we take Ayurveda the way it has been known, or all the herbal medicines, and there are people in government institutions and privately who have actually done the pharmacopoeia on herbal medicine, that we apply modern scientific techniques to herbal medicine and try to make an amalgam between the two, not only as complementary but as a fusion. That I think that there is room to fuse modern medicine and herbal medicine to achieve 2 things. One, that your therapies will be equally good or more effective. 2, they will be imminently more human friendly, so that you don't have to cut out the body or you don't have to use X-ray and all that. And 3rd, it would be half the price.
As we progress through the 21st century, it can truly be said that Ayurvedic medicine has gone global, gaining international interest and respect as an alternative means of caring for physical and mental health.
I have had a long experience of allopathic medicine and I have seen the limits of our treatments, especially in a normal, let's say in a general practitioner practice, because you can see that many diseases are due to the fact that people really don't take care of their bodies and their minds. So I was very lucky to be able to enroll in a very good school in Milan, which is a 4-year program, an introduction to Ayurvedic medicine. And we do our internship here in Kerala, in Thrissur, which is every year a very interesting and profound experience.
We are here also because the technique is nothing without the real knowledge. The real knowledge is connected with the cognitive process and the way people think. And since our body, as Ayurveda teaches, is not a system of organs, but is a system of relationship, we come here to modify our way of thinking, and in such a way that we can deeply understand Ayurveda. So what we are trying to do is to reach the deepest meaning of Ayurveda in such a way that we are able to bring it back to our country and to find the root of Ayurveda in our country. Because, as I said, Ayurveda is universal, it's not local.
Today, one of the world's most ancient and continuously practiced medical systems is seeking its place in the modern world. The globalization of Ayurveda, however, is not solely because of the perceived failings of Western medicine and the detrimental effects of drug therapy. Rather, it is a result of shifting social patterns. There is a trend to look for medical systems closer to nature, a more human form of medicine. In countries like the US, Germany, France and the UK, Ayurveda is practiced by medical doctors. In Western medicine, Ayurveda is classified as a system of complementary and alternative medicine.
Germany is dominated by modern Western medicine, what we call allopathy in India. So any alternative therapy in Germany has problems to establish itself, to get well known. We do it, one of the first things is that all of us, all the doctors working here have to be Western, what in India we call MBBS doctors. They have to be Western medical doctors, because otherwise in Germany you don't get a license to practice. You're just not allowed to practice on patients. The Ayurveda Clinic Kassel is a clinical hospital department in Germany where we can practice Ayurvedic medicine. One of the unique features of this department is that we are part of a hospital, of a larger German hospital. The whole hospital has about 350 beds. Out of these 350 beds, the Ayurvedic department has a ward of 30 beds. It has a large therapy section where oil and sweating therapies are done. And in addition, the third one is the Ayurvedic department has its own kitchen and its own dining hall, which is separate from the hospital dining hall. Food is very important, how they should adapt their food, how they should use their food. And it's not that the food has to be Indian necessarily. Everything that grows in Germany and is part of the German food can be used, but it has to be used in context of the patient, in context of the disease, in context of the season.
I see why our medical doctors are coming to our training. They're coming because they have lost their dharma, as you say. They once studied medicine because they wanted to do something for humanity. Then they ended up in a technical medicine. Now they're coming to our trainings in Ayurvedic medicine because they're finding back back to their own profession, and they're finding back to their own mission in life they want to share. And same with the patients. The patients in the moment coming to Ayurveda, they need to have a doctor having time to really understand their problems.
Ayurveda in Germany is mostly known as a wellness system, and people don't know it's a medical system. And what I feel is a big problem, it's not accepted by the government as a medical system. So it's not covered by the health insurance. And German patients are used to having everything covered by health insurance, so they're not used to paying for medical care. And that is actually one of the main problems in Ayurveda, I would say, because actually it's not expensive, but people are not used to pay for their health.
The first insurance company in Germany just recently had a discussion with me how to build up a framework to implement Ayurveda in their portfolio. The European Society for Quality in Healthcare just recently opened a department for Ayurveda and complementary medicine. Then the universities are now taking up also research, and when you see all that, then you can be assured that Ayurveda has a great future in our countries.
Success in the use of Ayurveda in the West derives in great measure from the ability to accommodate the Western allopathic model. With Ayurveda working alongside allopathy in many hospitals.
Germany is not the same as India, or Europe is not the same as India. We have a different climate, we have different nutrition habits, we have some different genes. So what's also of interest, of much interest, is we have to adapt a little bit to the European or to the American conditions. Perhaps not everything is the same. Perhaps a treatment that works in Mumbai or in Delhi very well will happen to be adapted a little bit in Berlin or in New York City. We started now with the within the frame of our cooperation, also with the Indian government, about which we are very thankful. We started to treat patients now. We are sure that we will have some good results, and then we will start to implement it into the European healthcare system.
Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritato.
What we see today in Western countries and also globally is a trend towards integration, towards integrative medicine. And for our understanding in the universitarian setup, that does not mean a sort of random integration of therapeutic elements, but it means the integration of the best possible therapeutic tools for our individual patients out of the mixture of different therapeutic modes. If I have a patient here in the hospital who comes with a certain disease, a certain health problem, certain health condition, that we take elements from different systems of medicine. Suppose we have a patient who comes in with rheumatoid arthritis or osteoarthritis of the knee, so joint and bone disorders, and asks us for help or for our medical advice. This patient will of course also receive Ayurvedic treatment, Abhyanga, Swedana, maybe some Ayurvedic herbal treatments. And we will also take advice from our yoga specialists who will then come and see which joints are affected, and he will give us advice on certain yogasanas which might be beneficial.
Ayurveda can work to supplement or complement other systems of medicine, counter the adverse effects of conventional medicine, and speed up the phase of recovery.
I'm a gynecologist and an obstetrician, so I tried to find holistic concepts for the treatment in gynecology and obstetrics. We deal with pregnant women like with patients, and this is wrong. But we can help them to have a good pregnancy, to have a good time, using also these techniques of natural herbs, of meditation, of yoga during pregnancies. Also, we start to teach the mothers to apply Ayurvedic massage to their newborn babies every day. This moment they start with the massage, the babies are very quiet, very relaxed, and this is, I think, a very important and pleasant atmosphere.
Ayurveda being a holistic form of medicine, it bears close resemblance to European medical traditions. Europeans therefore have found a growing acceptance of this ancient medical system, with well-being and balance as a means of healing, health maintenance and sickness prevention.
I'm working as a general doctor in the countryside, as a family doctor, and I think that there are many illnesses where the normal medicine has no solution. So I'm just working for the last few years together with my husband, and if there are some cases where we don't find any solutions, I just ask him to help us with Ayurveda.
The development of Ayurveda in Europe is, I think, really something which will be a type of pioneer work now, because it's not here at the moment. Wellness Ayurveda is here, but medical Ayurveda only a few doctors do. As you've been to the Charité in Berlin, Castle Clinic, in Germany there's more development. I'm one of the few doctors in Austria who are doing it really with the medical tradition. And I think that's also an interesting point of view, to develop Ayurveda, be on the first front and change things to something better.
Ayurveda continues to grow rapidly as one of the most important systems of mind-body medicine and natural healing. As the need for natural therapies, disease prevention and a more spiritual approach to life becomes even more important in this ecological age.
See, the mindset that is expected of a Vaidya is not as a profession but as a service. That to the extent that one should be able to treat a patient as his own son, his own child. If your karmas, if your work that you are doing is conducive for these two, Shreyas and Prayas, you are a good human being. That is the purpose of life.
A 100 autumns may we see, 100 autumns may we live, 100 autumns may we know, 100 autumns may we rise.
Ayurveda.